Hello and welcome to Talklish Channel, the podcast designed to help you navigate the beautiful and sometimes tricky world of the English language. I'm your host, Sarah.
And I'm Mark. It's great to be with you today. We have a really special episode planned, something that so many of our listeners have asked about. We're diving deep into a topic that can be a huge challenge for English learners: fast English conversations.
That's right. That feeling when a native speaker is talking to you and the words just seem to fly by like a speeding train. You're trying to catch one word, just one, to hold on to, but they all blur together. It can be incredibly frustrating and even a little intimidating.
Absolutely. And that frustration can lead to a lack of confidence. You might know a lot of vocabulary. You might be great with grammar exercises. But when it comes to a real-time, fast-paced conversation, it feels like your brain just freezes. You're not alone in feeling this way. In fact, it's one of the most common hurdles for learners to overcome.
But the good news is, it's a hurdle you can absolutely clear. It's not about having a magical ability or a special language gene. It's about having the right techniques and a solid strategy. And that's exactly what we're going to give you today. We've broken it down into 4 powerful, easy-to-follow steps to help you not just survive, but actually ace fast English conversations.
We're calling this our Ace the Pace framework. It's a step-by-step guide that will take you from feeling overwhelmed to feeling confident and in control. We're going to give you practical tips, real-life examples, and mini dialogues to practice with. This is going to be a very hands-on episode.
So, grab a notebook, get comfortable, and get ready to transform the way you approach English conversations. We're going to take our time, explain everything slowly and clearly. And by the end of this episode, you'll have a complete toolkit to work with. Shall we get started with the first step, Mark?
Let's do it. Step 1 is all about perception, about what you hear. We call it Step 1, tune your ear to the rhythm of English.
Okay, so step 1, tune your ear. This sounds interesting, Mark. It's not about learning more words.
Not directly, no. This is about training your brain to understand the sounds of English as they are actually spoken by native speakers in a natural, fast flow. The English you learn from a textbook is often very different from the English you hear on the street, in a movie, or in a coffee shop.
That is so true. Textbook English is very neat. Each word is pronounced perfectly and separately. How are you today? But in reality, it sounds more like, how you doing?
Exactly. And that's our first key point in tuning your ear, understanding connected speech. Native speakers don't speak in isolated words. We link words together. It's more efficient, it's smoother, and it's what creates that fast-flowing sound.
Can you give us some common examples of this linking?
Of course. Let's start with a very common type of linking, consonant to vowel. When one word ends with a consonant sound and the next word starts with a vowel sound, we push them together as if there were one word.
Okay, so for example, turn off. The first word, turn, ends with a consonant sound, N. The next word, off, starts with a vowel sound, O.
Precisely. So instead of saying turn off with a pause in between, a native speaker will say turn off. The N sound attaches itself to the O. Let's give our listeners a few more to listen to. I'll say them separately and then linked.
Great idea.
Okay, first one, an apple. Separately, an apple. But linked, it becomes an apple. I ate an apple.
I ate an apple. It really does sound like one word.
Here's another, read it. Separately, read it. Linked, it's read it. I need to read it.
Read it. I can see how if you're listening for the word it, you might miss it completely because it's just a little tag at the end of read.
That's the core of the problem. You're listening for words, but you should be listening for sound units. Let's do a quick mini dialogue. I'll be person A, and Sarah, you be person B. We'll say it the textbook way first, and then the natural, linked way.
Ready.
Textbook style. Is he in his office?
I am not sure. I will ask him.
Okay, pretty clear. Now let's hear how that would sound in a real fast conversation with consonant to vowel linking. Is he in his office?
I'm not sure. I'll ask him. Whoa, that is a huge difference. I'm not sure. I'll ask him. The will almost disappears.
It does. And this isn't the only type of connected speech. Another huge one is vowel to vowel linking. When a word ends in a vowel and the next one starts with a vowel, we often insert a small W or Y sound to connect them smoothly. We call this an intrusive sound.
So you're saying we actually add a sound that isn't there in the spelling?
Yes, but it's a natural result of moving your mouth from one vowel shape to another. For example, in the phrase you are, the word you ends with an oo sound. The word are starts with an aw sound. To get from oo to aw, your lips naturally make a little W sound. So you are becomes you wear.
You wear amazing.
Exactly. And the intrusive Y sound happens after E or A or oi sounds. For example, I agree, it becomes I agree. Or he asked, which becomes he asked.
This explains so much. Learners are often taught to listen for the words they know, but the sounds are changing in real speech. It's like trying to solve a puzzle where the pieces keep changing shape.
A perfect analogy, and it gets even more complex. The third aspect of connected speech to master is called assimilation. This is when a sound at the end of a word changes to become more like the sound at the beginning of the next word. It makes pronunciation easier and faster.
Okay, give us an example of assimilation.
A classic one is the phrase 10 points. The n sound at the end of 10 is often pronounced as an M sound before a P or B. Why? Because M and P are both made with your lips. So it's easier to say 10 points than 10 points.
10 points. You're right, it's a much smaller movement for your mouth.
Another example is good girl. The duh in good might change to a j sound because of the following j sound in girl. So it sounds like goo girl. It's subtle, but these little changes are what make speech fast.
So, to recap step 1 so far, to tune your ear, you need to actively listen for and understand connected speech, which includes linking consonants to vowels, linking vowels to vowels with intrusive W or Y sounds, and assimilation, where sounds change to become more similar.
Precisely. And this leads to our final and perhaps most important point for tuning your ear: reductions and stress. In any English sentence, not all words are treated equally. Some words are stressed, and some words are unstressed. The unstressed words are often reduced. They are said very quickly, very quietly, and the vowel sound often changes to the schwa sound.
Ah, the schwa, the most common sound in English. It's that weak, lazy sound, like the A in about or the O in today.
That's the one. Function words like the, to, for, can, you, are almost always unstressed and reduced. The important words, the content words, nouns, main verbs, adjectives, adverbs, are the ones that get the stress.
This creates the rhythm of English, doesn't it? It's a stress-timed language. It's like music. Da, 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 da.
Da. Exactly. The time between the stressed beats is usually the same. So if you have more unstressed words between two stressed words, you have to say them faster to fit them in.
Let's take a sentence. How about, I want to go to the store for a can of soup?
Perfect. Now in that sentence, what are the important content words?
Want, go, store, can, and soup. Maybe can is less important? Let's say want, go, store, soup.
Good. Those are the words that will be stressed. Now listen to the function words. I, to, the, for, of. They will all be reduced. The word to becomes ta. For becomes fur. Becomes So the sentence isn't, I want to go to the store for a can of soup.
How does it sound, Mark?
It sounds like, I want to go to the store for a can of soup.
Wanna, ta, fur, canna. These are reductions. Want to becomes wanna. Going to becomes gonna. Can of becomes canna. If you don't know these reductions, you're going to be completely lost.
And you'll be waiting for the full pronunciation of to, which you probably will never hear. So how can our listeners practice this? The best way is through active listening and shadowing.
Shadowing is a fantastic technique. It means you listen to a short piece of audio and you try to speak at the exact same time as the speaker, copying their pronunciation, their rhythm, their intonation, everything. You don't even have to understand every word at first. The goal is to match the sounds and the rhythm.
You can use a short clip from a movie, a TV show, a podcast like this one, or a TED Talk. Listen to one sentence, then pause and repeat it, trying to imitate the linking and reductions.
A great practical exercise is to take a transcript of a short audio clip. First, listen without the transcript and just focus on the rhythm. Tap your finger to the stressed words. Feel the beat.
Then listen again with the transcript. This time, use a pen to mark the linked sounds and circle the reduced words. See how did you becomes did you, or what are you becomes whatcha.
This process of actively dissecting the sound is what retrains your brain. You're moving from a word-based understanding to a sound-based understanding. You're learning to hear the music, not just the lyrics.
That's the perfect way to put it, Sarah. So, that's step 1 in a nutshell. Tune your ear to the rhythm of English. It's about getting intimate with connected speech, reductions, and the stress-timed nature of the language. It is the foundation for everything else. You can't respond to what you don't understand.
A powerful first step. And once you start hearing the language in this new way, you'll be ready for our next step, which is all about how you can respond more quickly. Step 2. Build your response reflex. We've just covered step 1, which was all about tuning your ear. Now we're moving on to step 2, build your response reflex. This is about what happens after you understand. It's about shortening that pause, that hesitation between hearing something and giving a reply.
I think this is where many learners feel the most pressure. Their mind goes blank. They're busy translating in their head from their native language to English, trying to build the perfect grammatical sentence. By the time they have it ready, the conversation has moved on.
Exactly. The key here is to stop building sentences from scratch every single time you speak. Native speakers don't do that. We have a huge mental library of ready-made phrases, chunks, and collocations that we can pull from instantly.
Let's break that down. What exactly do we mean by chunks and collocations?
A collocation is a pair or group of words that are very frequently used together. They just sound right to a native speaker. For example, we say fast food, not quick food. We say make a mistake, not do a mistake. We take a shower. We don't do a shower.
Right, and learning these word partnerships is so much more effective than just learning individual words. If you learn the word mistake, you still have to think, which verb do I use with mistake? Is it make, do, have, take? But if you learn the whole chunk, make a mistake, it's one piece of information. It's pre-assembled.
It's like having pre-packaged ingredients for a recipe. Instead of chopping the onions, garlic, and carrots yourself every time, you just grab the mirepoix mix. It's faster and more efficient. So a huge part of building your response reflex is to start noticing and learning vocabulary in chunks.
How can our listeners do this?
When you learn a new word, don't just write down the word itself. Write down the words that go with it. If you learn the word decision, you should also learn make a decision, a tough decision, a final decision.
So instead of a vocabulary list, you create a collocation map around new words. This is a brilliant way to expand your vocabulary in a way that is immediately useful for speaking.
And then we have larger chunks, which we can call formulaic language or lexical phrases. These are multi-word phrases or even full sentences that are used in common situations. They act as conversational templates.
Can you give us some examples of these conversational templates?
Absolutely. Think about agreeing or disagreeing. Instead of thinking, how do I express that I have the same opinion? You can have a set of phrases ready to go. That's a good point. I see what you mean. I feel the same way. I'm not so sure about that. I see your point, but... Having these ready means your brain doesn't have to work so hard on the structure of the sentence. It can focus on the actual message you want to convey. It frees up mental energy.
Let's do a little mini dialogue to show this in action. Let's say we're talking about a new movie. Sarah, you be the learner who is building sentences from scratch. I'll ask you a question.
Okay.
So, what did you think of the new Planet Raiders movie?
I think the special effects were good, but the story was not interesting.
Okay, perfectly understandable, grammatically correct, but you can feel the hesitation. The sentence is being constructed word by word.
I was translating in my head. Los efectos especiales eran buenos, pero la historia no era interesante. It takes time.
Now, let's try it again. This time, Sarah is a learner who has been practicing with chunks and formulaic language.
Okay, ready.
So, what did you think of the new Planet Raiders movie?
To be honest, I have mixed feelings. On the one hand, the special effects were amazing. On the other hand, I wasn't that impressed with the storyline.
See the difference? To be honest, I have mixed feelings. On the one hand, on the other hand, I wasn't that impressed with. These are all pre-made chunks. Sarah's brain just had to slot in. The special effects were amazing. And the storyline.
It felt so much smoother and more natural to say, and it sounds more fluent too. So the practical step for our listeners is to start creating a phrase book for themselves.
Exactly. But not just a random phrase book. Organize it by function. What are the phrases for giving your opinion, for asking for clarification, for changing the subject, for telling a story?
Let's give them a few to get started. For asking for clarification, instead of just "what?", which can sound a bit rude, you can prepare, "Sorry, I didn't catch that. Could you say that again, please? What do you mean by?" So, if I understand you correctly, you're saying that.
Those are perfect. For telling a story, you can have chunks to structure your narrative. So the other day, to start. The funny thing is, long story short, and then all of a sudden,
Learning these chunks does something really important for your brain. It automates parts of your speech. Think about driving a car. When you first learn, you have to consciously think about everything, like check the mirror, press the clutch, change the gear, release the clutch slowly.
it's so mechanical and slow.
But after a while, you do it automatically. You don't think about the individual steps. Speaking a language is the same. By memorizing these chunks, you are making parts of your speaking process automatic. This is what we mean by building a response reflex.
A great way to practice this is through repetition. Take one of these chunks, like "I see what you mean, but," and try to use it to respond to different prompts. For example, prompt: "I think summer is the best season." Response: "I see what you mean, but I think autumn is more beautiful." Prompt: "Learning grammar is the most important part of learning English." Response: "I see what you mean, but I think speaking practice is more important."
This kind of drill helps to burn the phrase into your long-term memory. So when you're in a real conversation, it comes out naturally, without thinking.
Another key part of this step is to focus on high-frequency vocabulary. Don't try to learn every single word in the dictionary. The Pareto principle applies here. 20% of the words are used 80% of the time. Focus on that 20%.
There are lists available online, like the General Service List or the Academic Word List, which contain the most common words in English. Focusing your chunk learning efforts on these high-frequency words will give you the biggest return on your investment.
So, let's summarize step 2. Build your response reflex. First, stop learning single words. Start noticing and learning words in chunks and collocations. Second, build a personal phrase book, a formulaic language, organized by function. And third, focus your efforts on high-frequency vocabulary.
By doing this, you're not just learning English, you're learning how to use English efficiently and quickly. You're building a toolbox of ready-made phrases that will allow you to participate in conversations with much less mental strain.
And when your brain isn't working so hard just to form a sentence, you can pay more attention to the conversation itself, to the person you're talking to, and to what you really want to say. It changes everything.
It really does. Okay, we've tuned our ears and we've started building our response reflex. What's next, Mark? How do we put all of this into practice?
That leads us perfectly into our third step, which is all about active practice.
Step 3. Practice smart, not just hard.
And we are back. We're walking you through our Ace the Pace framework for handling fast English conversations. We've covered Step 1, tune your ear, and Step 2, build your response reflex. Now it's time for Step 3, practice smart, not just hard.
This is a crucial step. A lot of learners know they need to practice speaking, but they're not always sure how to do it effectively. Just having random conversations can be helpful, but if you want to specifically improve your speed and fluency, you need to do targeted drills, smart practice.
So it's not about the quantity of practice, but the quality.
Exactly. And our first smart practice technique is one we've already mentioned, but it's so powerful it deserves a deeper dive: shadowing. We talked about it in Step 1 as a listening tool, but it's one of the best speaking tools as well.
Let's explain it again for everyone. Shadowing is listening to a native speaker and speaking along with them in real time, like a shadow.
The key to using shadowing for speaking practice is to do it in stages. Stage 1, blind shadowing. Just listen and repeat at the same time without a transcript. Don't worry about the meaning. Just try to match the sounds, rhythm, and intonation. This trains the physical muscles of your mouth and throat to produce English sounds smoothly.
Your mouth is literally getting a workout. It's learning the dance of English pronunciation.
Stage 2, shadowing with a transcript. Now you do the same thing, but you read the text as you listen and speak. This connects the sounds you're making to the words on the page. You'll start to see where the linking happens, which words are reduced, and so on.
This reinforces everything we talked about in Step 1.
Stage 3, interpretive shadowing. After you've shadowed a piece of audio a few times, turn it off, look at the transcript, and try to read it aloud yourself, imitating the speaker's style, emotion, and rhythm as best you can from memory. This is where you move from imitation to independent production.
This staged approach to shadowing is so much more effective than just trying to do it all at once. It builds your skills layer by layer. And you can do it for just 5 to 10 minutes a day.
Consistency is key. Now, the second smart practice technique is one you can do anytime, anywhere, and it's completely free. It's called thinking in English.
This is a big one. So many learners are still thinking and narrating their lives in their native language, and then translating when they need to speak. This translation step is what slows you down. You have to eliminate the translator in your head. The goal is to make English the language of your thoughts. This might sound difficult, but you can start small.
How small?
Start with single words. As you go about your day, just name the objects you see in English: chair, table, window, computer, tree. Don't translate, just see the object and let the English word pop into your head.
That's a very manageable first step. What comes next?
You move on to simple sentences. Narrate your actions in your head in English. I am waking up now. I'm making a cup of coffee. This coffee is hot. I need to get ready for work.
Again, these are simple, present tense sentences. You're not trying to have a complex philosophical debate in your head. You're just creating a new habit.
Exactly. And then you can level up again. Try to describe what you see around you. That man is wearing a blue coat. The bus is late today. It looks like it might rain. You're basically becoming your own English commentator.
I love that idea. The voice in your head starts speaking English. This practice is incredibly powerful because it builds the habit of retrieving English words and structures directly, without passing through your native language first.
It directly attacks the problem of mental translation, and it also helps you identify gaps in your vocabulary. You'll be trying to describe something and realize, I don't know the English word for that. Then you can look it up. It's very targeted learning.
So we have shadowing for pronunciation and rhythm, and thinking in English for automaticity. What's the third smart practice technique?
The third technique is to have structured conversations. This means finding a language partner or a tutor and having conversations that have a specific goal.
This is different from just free-flowing chat.
Yes. For example, you could decide that for the first 10 minutes of your conversation, you will both focus on using phrases for agreeing and disagreeing. You could have a list of the chunks we talked about in step 2 in front of you, and your goal is to use at least 5 of them.
So you might have a debate on a simple topic, like, cats are better pets than dogs. And you're intentionally practicing phrases like, I see your point, but, on the one hand, I completely agree that.
This structured approach takes the pressure off. You have a clear, achievable goal for the conversation that is separate from just speaking perfectly. It turns practice into a kind of game.
You could also structure a conversation around a specific grammar point. Maybe you want to practice the present perfect tense. So, you and your partner agree to ask each other questions using that tense. Have you ever been to Canada? Have you ever tried sushi? Yes, I have. I tried it last year.
Another great structured practice is to retell a story. Watch a short video clip like a movie trailer or a news report, or read a short article. Then meet with your conversation partner, and your goal is to retell the story to them in your own words.
This is fantastic because it forces you to use a whole range of language. Past tenses, sequencing words like first, next, then, finally, and descriptive vocabulary. And because you already know the story, you can focus on how you're telling it rather than what you're telling.
Let's do a tiny example of that. Imagine I just watched a video about a man who rescued a cat from a tree. I would tell Sarah, so the other day I saw this crazy video. There was this cat and it had climbed up a really tall tree and it couldn't get down. First, the owner tried to call it, but that didn't work. Then, a man who lived nearby saw what was happening. All of a sudden, he got a huge ladder and climbed all the way up to rescue it. In the end, the cat was safe and everyone was so happy.
In that short story, you used storytelling chunks, like the other day, all of a sudden, in the end, past tenses, and descriptive language. Practicing this over and over makes storytelling in English second nature.
These smart practice techniques, shadowing, thinking in English, and structured conversations, are designed to build your skills in a targeted way. They address the core components of fast conversation: pronunciation, automatic recall, and confident delivery.
They are things you can actively do rather than just passively hoping you'll get better. It gives the learner a sense of control over their progress.
And that control is a huge confidence booster, which conveniently brings us to our final step.
Step 4. Embrace imperfection and use fluency hacks.
We've arrived at our fourth and final step in the ACE, the PACE framework. This might be the most important one of all because it's about your mindset. Step 4. Embrace imperfection and use fluency hacks.
I love this. So much of the fear around speaking fast comes from a fear of making mistakes. We want to be perfect. We don't want to sound stupid. But this desire for perfection is often what paralyzes us.
Exactly. So the first and most fundamental part of this step is to give yourself permission to be imperfect. Let me say that again. Give yourself permission to make mistakes. Every single person who has ever learned a language has made thousands of mistakes. It is a necessary and unavoidable part of the process.
Mistakes are not a sign of failure. They're a sign that you are trying, that you are pushing yourself, that you are learning. You have to reframe how you think about mistakes. They are data points that show you what you need to work on.
Think about it this way. A conversation is about connection, not perfection. The other person is interested in your ideas, your opinions, your stories, not your ability to use the past perfect continuous tense flawlessly.
That's such a great point. If you are communicating your message and the other person understands you, even with a few grammatical errors, that is a successful conversation. Communication has occurred.
So embrace the idea of good enough. Your English doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be good enough to connect with someone. This mindset shift alone can relieve so much pressure and anxiety.
Once you've started to embrace imperfection, you can start using some very practical tools to help you sound more fluent, even when you're searching for a word. We call these fluency hacks. And the first one is to master the use of fillers or hesitation devices.
Native speakers use fillers all the time. Our speech is not a clean, perfect transcript. It's full of pauses and little words and sounds that give us a moment to think.
And if you use these same fillers, you will sound more natural, and you will give yourself that same valuable thinking time without long, awkward silences.
So instead of a silent pause or a nervous you can use English fillers. What are some common ones, Sarah?
Well, there are the simple ones like, well, then there are slightly more complex filler phrases. Let me see. That's a good question. You know, how should I put it? The thing is...
Let's demonstrate the difference. I'll ask you a question, Sarah. First, respond with a silent pause. What's the best holiday you've ever had?
The best holiday was a trip to Italy.
Okay, now let's try it again, but this time use a filler phrase. What's the best holiday you've ever had?
Wow, that's a great question. Let me think. I'd have to say the best holiday I've ever had was my trip to Italy.
See how much more natural and fluent that sounds. The filler phrase, wow, that's a great question. Let me think. Completely filled the silence and gave you time to access your memory and formulate your answer. It's a bridge.
It's a conversational lubricant. It keeps the engine running while you figure out where you're going next. Learning just 5 or 6 of these and practicing them can dramatically change how fluent you sound.
Another fluency hack is to learn conversation repair strategies. What happens when you're in the middle of a sentence and you realize you don't know a word, or you've said something that isn't clear?
The low confidence response is to panic, stop, and maybe apologize. Sorry, my English is bad. The high confidence, fluent response is to use a repair strategy. For example, if you can't think of a word, you can describe the word. Let's say you can't remember the word corkscrew. You could say, I need that, that thing you use to open a bottle of wine. It's metal and it has a spiral.
Exactly. You've successfully communicated your meaning without knowing the specific word. The other person will probably say, "Oh, a corkscrew." And now you've learned a new word in context.
Another repair strategy is rephrasing. If you feel like you've explained something badly, you can say, let me put it another way. Or, what I mean to say is, in other words, this shows that you are aware of the communication and you are actively trying to be clear. It's a very confident thing to do.
These strategies are your safety net. Knowing you have them makes you more willing to take risks and jump into conversations because you know you have the tools to handle it if you get stuck.
It's all about changing your goal from speak perfectly to communicate effectively.
And our final point in this final step is about managing the physical and mental feelings of anxiety. When you're in a fast conversation and you feel overwhelmed, your heart might start beating faster. Your mind might go blank. This is a real physical response.
So, what can you do in that moment?
The first thing is to breathe. Take a slow, quiet breath. It sounds incredibly simple, but consciously taking a breath sends a signal to your nervous system to calm down. You can do this while the other person is talking, or while you're using a filler phrase like, "Let me see."
Another tip is to focus on the other person. Instead of being trapped in your own head worrying about your mistakes, get curious about the person you're talking to. Listen intently to what they're saying. Ask them questions. When you focus your energy outwards, you have less energy left for being anxious.
And finally, smile. Again, it sounds simplistic, but smiling actually relaxes your facial muscles, which can make your pronunciation clearer. It also signals friendliness to the other person, which makes the entire interaction more positive and low pressure.
So, step 4 is a powerful combination of mindset and practical tools. Embrace imperfection, because communication is about connection, not perfection. Use fluency hacks like fillers and repair strategies to build bridges and create safety nets. And manage your anxiety with simple techniques like breathing, focusing outwards, and smiling.
It's about being kind to yourself and recognizing that fluency is not about being flawless. It's about having the confidence to communicate your thoughts and ideas, even with the English you have right now.
Recap and conclusion. And there you have it, our 4-step Ace the Pace framework for acing fast English conversations. It's been a lot of information, so let's do a very quick recap of the 4 steps.
Step 1 was tune your ear to the rhythm of English. This is all about learning to hear connected speech, reductions, and the stress-timed rhythm of natural spoken English. The key practice technique here is shadowing.
Step 2 was build your response reflex. This is about stopping the mental translation and building a library of ready-made chunks and collocations. The key here is to learn vocabulary in phrases, not just single words.
Step 3 was practice smart, not just hard. This means using targeted drills like multi-stage shadowing, thinking in English to eliminate translation, and having structured conversations with specific goals.
And finally, step 4 was embrace imperfection and use fluency hacks. This is about changing your mindset to prioritize connection over perfection, using tools like fillers and repair strategies, and managing your anxiety.
These 4 steps work together as a complete system. You improve your listening, which gives you more to work with. You build your response library, which makes your speaking more automatic. You practice in a smart, targeted way, which builds your skills and confidence. And you adopt a mindset that allows you to use your skills freely and without fear.
Remember, this is a journey. You won't master it overnight. The key is consistent, gentle practice. Pick one small thing from this episode to work on this week. Maybe it's just noticing connected speech in a song, or maybe it's learning 3 filler phrases.
Every small step forward is a victory. Don't get discouraged. Be patient with yourself. Celebrate your progress. And remember that every conversation is a chance to learn and connect. You can do this.
Thank you so much for joining us on English on the Go today. We hope you found this deep dive helpful and feel empowered to go out there and start having more confident conversations.
We'll be back next time with another topic to help you on your English learning journey. Until then, keep practicing and happy learning.